Thank you very much, Richard. So tomorrow morning, local families who have lost loved ones to violent crime will be honored. We hear far too often about homicides, rapes, assaults here in our city. The Justice Coalition helps all victims of violent crime, including children and other relatives who are most impacted by these tragedies. Families like, look at this young man. The 20-year-old was murdered outside a Riverside restaurant back in July of last year. Daniel Rowe is his name. He worked as a busboy at the Blind Rabbit. He was taking out the trash when police say 2 people shot him. No arrests have been made in the case, and he leaves behind children. Rowe's family will be speaking during tomorrow's annual Justice Coalition breakfast. Joining me now to tell us more about the event is Ann Duggar. She is with the Justice Coalition, and Johnny Williams, who's owner of Williams Rowe Company. And your business, I know, Johnny, has been a huge supporter of the Justice Coalition for years. Let me start, Ann. First of all, good morning to both of you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
You know, we see you in the courtroom all the time. We see you with the family, you and the wonderful people that work with your organization. And the reality is that, I mean, this started, of course, I remember Ted Hires, and this started because he was a victim of crime himself and realized that there was no one for those who were left behind. The message then for those who are watching this morning, because you don't ever think it's going to happen to you, and then it does. And who do you have to turn to then?
It's the Justice Coalition. Yeah. Because what happens is when you're thrown into the criminal justice system, you don't understand what your rights are. And you feel re-victimized again, you know, through such a maze of intimidation. So knowing what your rights are from the very first pretrial hearing to the trial to the sentencing, that's very important to those victims. But then on the other hand, when the perpetrator hasn't been caught and now they're hurting and they're needing help, you know, they turn to the Justice Coalition.
And I know that you have a fantastic relationship, not just with the State Attorney's Office, but also with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, using just locally as an example. How important is that also to families? Because here you are now, you know, you feel like you just want police just working on your loved one's case, and the reality is they can't always do that. And you can be a really good go-between, can you not?
Absolutely. We can be the advocate between the law enforcement and the victim or the survivor, and being able to help them to understand, first of all, it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, we had 99 murders last year. You know, just in January alone, there was 15 murders, and the law enforcement is overwhelmed, you know, with working. So it's not that they have forgotten that case, and it's not fallen along the wayside. So many times, it's just now then they've got to work another murder.
Yeah. Sadly. Johnny, what drew you to Justice Coalition so many years ago?
Jennifer, my daddy, and Ted Hires were involved in the Gideon ministry, and Ted owned Sonny's Barbecue, and he was robbed at gunpoint in broad daylight, and he and his employees were on the floor, and the robber cocked the gun to kill him, and somebody come in from next door and broke it up. And Ted realized that through the judicial process, there wasn't much help for victims of violent crime. So he started a 501c3, and that's when the Justice Coalition was founded 21 years ago. And my daddy, being a friend of Ted's, started contributing to the Justice Coalition, and we've been doing it ever since.
Do you find that you and other businesses, as an example, I mean, are they supporters? I mean, do you tell, I'm sure, any other business owners that you encounter, is there ever any hesitancy because it's crime, because it's, I can't imagine, you look at the children who are left behind by so many of the victims of murder in particular, that it would be easy to garner support for the organization?
Jennifer, crime can happen to anybody. It can happen, it don't matter where you live at or who you are. Violent crime can happen to anybody, and so I'm not one bit embarrassed or ashamed to tell people that I support the Justice Coalition, and I encourage every business man and woman in town to unite with us to help Ann and her staff do their job.
And as the police beat reporter, and I was for 8 years, I mean, I remember we had this assumption, well, we live in this good neighborhood. Well, it's very easy for someone who wants to commit crime to drive right over to your neighborhood. It's not like there's walls that prevent crime from coming to where you live. And if you live in the nice neighborhoods, that's where the bad guys want to come because they want to steal your stuff.
Crime has no face, it has no color. No one is immune to crime.
Let's talk about tomorrow's breakfast. Too late to join, too late to donate. What are the details for the breakfast?
None of the above. It is all open. We do have tickets available. The tickets are $25. It will be at First Baptist Church downtown at 7:20 tomorrow morning. Great breakfast, grits, eggs, bacon, sausage, biscuits, you name it. But the main thing is that we're coming together. It's a unity of bringing business leaders, elected officials, our citizens, and the ones that will be honoring the innocent victims of violent crime.
Police and prosecutors can't do it all.
And they will be there. And we work very close with law enforcement, with local law enforcement, with the FBI, the FDLE, U.S. Marshal Service, you name it, you know. And it's a working process through the state attorney's office, and it's very important that we all join together. So they'll all be there tomorrow morning.
And thank you for everything that you do in this community. It's tireless, Johnny. Thank you for being here this morning also and for your support. The 14th annual Together Weekend Breakfast is, again, it's tomorrow. Doors open at 6:45. There are still tickets, as you heard mention. The number to dial is 783-6312. Bruce?